maybe that's the funny part of being a costume designer, that you become involved in these worlds, and you kind of become a bit of an expert for a while in a specific topic.
Sofie Krunegård is a Swedish costume designer, internationally known for her work on two of the latest gold films from Cannes Festival, The Square and Triangle of Sadness, both directed by Ruben Östlund. Sofie, I'm delighted to welcome you to Profession Costumière. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So first, I wanted to ask you, how did you become a costume designer? What led you to this profession?
Well, I was working as a stylist. I started working as a stylist in London in Vogue House as an assistant there for Russian Vogue and Russian GQ. And I was then started as a stylist and working on a freelance basis in London and Paris and New York and so on for about 6 or 7 years. And then I moved back to Stockholm after I've been abroad for 10 years. And when I started working in Stockholm, I felt quite quickly I did a lot of the fashion scene there. I thought when Tarek Saleh, which is a director and a friend of mine, he did a movie, and he asked me if I wanted to do the costume design for his movie. And I wasn't really that interested because, I'm a stylist and I'm not a costume designer, and I didn't really have much interest to be a costume designer. So I was really happy with being a fashion stylist. But he convinced me to try to do this costume design for this movie called Tommy. Tarek Saleh he's quite popular in France with the Paris Hilton incident and Boy from Heaven and so we did this movie called Tommy together, and I thought it was interesting and fun, but a one-time thing. And I wasn't interested really in doing any other movies. But then Ruben Östlund called me and asked me if I wanted to do his movie, The Square. And we met up and had a lot of fun and connected really well. So I did the movie with him then, and after that I was really hooked on, continuing. And I had another interesting project straight after that, and then I just continued more and more doing costume design instead of fashion, basically.
And do you know how Ruben Östlund knew your work? Was it from Tommy or was it from your stylist work as well?
He had not seen Tommy, and when I met him the first time, actually at the Roy Andersson studio, I came with my fashion portfolio because I didn't have any work, and I thought that's how you do. But he was absolutely not interested in looking at the fashion portfolio, and he hadn't seen Tommy. But we had a nice connection, and we understood each other really well, and we became very good friends, and we had a lot of fun together. So he was like, of course we should work together, and I felt the same way. So it was more like a gut feeling, I guess.
And do you still do stylism? Do you still manage to also work in fashion, or are you now more dedicated to cinema?
Yeah, well, I do. In the beginning, I did a lot of fashion as well, so I did one film, and then maybe 10 months I only did fashion, and it was like this. Nowadays I still do fashion, like I did a shoot for Vogue this Christmas. Maybe I'll do something else this year, but it's less and less things because the movies takes up so much time, so it needs to be sometimes, but not that much anymore. But it's a lot of fun. I love fashion, and I love and also like when you work for so long time on a movie or a TV show, even longer. So when you have like a fashion shoot and it's a 2 days shoot, it's like nothing, so it feels like it's quite easy. It's nice with the variety, I think, but not that much anymore. So yeah.
And coming back to The Square, I was curious of how you build the character's wardrobe. For the people who haven't seen the movie yet, it depicts the word in Stockholm. So I was curious about did you share inspirations with Ruben Östlund? Did you get inspired from specific people, or how did you capture that? Because it's a very specific word, the art word in Stockholm, I guess.
Yes, yeah. But I mean, like Claes Bang, the main character, who is the director of the museum, there, there is role models, of course, the director of the Swedish art museum, but also MoMA and all kind of different. There's a few museum directors that I thought was really inspiring. I forgot their names now. The Serpentine Gallery have one that is amazing in London that I really liked. And I also liked the director of MoMA. And I mixed it with the director of the Stockholm Art Museum. But they had a lot of things in common, like small details that it seemed like is a fashion, within the art world that directors have. And the same thing when you look at art talks, like the Basel art talks and so on. You can see the curator, you can see the artists. They have specific, trends that is in those groups. So I studied like probably 1,000 art talks, and just to really understand like how do these people dress. And it was a lot of fun. You get really, I mean, research is the main thing. I love research. And even when I was a fashion stylist, research was like my thing. So I love that part, to feel like, it sits in the bones, you know exactly when it's right. So that was nice. And also during this, looking at the art talks, I had Googled different artists, because we had a Dominic West plays a painter or something, an artist in the square. And I looked at different artists and I was thinking like, how should we dress him? And then I came across an artist that I don't know if I should mention the name, but that I think is super cool. And I looked at an art talk with him, and he was so arrogant and actually horrible. And I showed it to Ruben, and he was like, this is incredible. So we actually copied that whole art talk in Miami, art base of Miami it was. We copied that whole, we copied the interview person, and we copied the artist, and we took that whole scene into the square. So that's really fun when you work with Ruben. He's really like talks a lot, you share a lot, and so that's like every scene have like is on discussion, let's say. It's in very interesting way. So.
Very interesting to hear. And you were so mentioning the research phase and the inspiration you had from people in the art world. Do you work with mood boards, for instance?
Yes, I actually make books. So I do scrapbooks, which is mood boards that I sit with a scissor and glue, and it's very not so modern, let's say. So I cut out mood boards, and I draw a lot, and I create like this little world for each character. So it's a lot of drawings and a lot of mood boards that I sit and cut out. So I really think it takes a long time, but it's my way of like molding together the person somehow. So that's kind of how I do it, and then I show that to the director when we go through it, and yeah, that's kind of my stages of
And another question on the square. So as I said, we're really focused on the art word, but there's also advertising word, because there are two people who come in and pitch a campaign that will actually turn out to be catastrophic. And I was also thinking, working in advertising myself, like for me, there was this very realistic and fun detail of those two men who are wearing those sleeveless winter jackets under their suits. And I was just curious about how you also came up with that detail.
Yeah, but so basically, I mean, since as a stylist, and also like, you do commercials, sometimes you meet those people working in those agencies, and so I took all the cliches, that you have, like the vest, the suit, and some, I had this beige Comme des Garçons cardigan with the eye here. Like I had so much things that I thought was so funny, and I just sketched it out. And then when I looked at the auditioning tape of them together, they looked like two kind of schoolboys, like twins almost, you know. And I thought it was so funny to almost dress them similar. And I actually met the long hair guy. We were together Saturday night, actually. Like it's a small world, Stockholm. And they are so much fun, and they understood exactly what I wanted. And they had, and it was so funny when I went through like what I wanted them to wear, and when we did the costume fitting, basically everything that I had, prepared, they actually had themselves in their wardrobes. So it was so close to the real persons. So then you also know that you are, spot on, because it became very real but funny. So I think it's cool.
That is really funny indeed.
Yeah.
And I also wanted to ask you about Triangle of Sadness, because as you mentioned, you met again with Ruben Östlund for his next movie and second Golden Palm, Triangle of Sadness.
Mm-hmm.
The movie is a satirical dark comedy about a group of wealthy people who are on a luxury cruise that capsizes, forcing them to completely swap roles and also confront their class biases.
Mm-hmm.
So I must imagine it's a very strong movie, and I imagine that reading the script, it must also be like very, very strong reading. So I was wondering how you first reacted when you discovered the story, maybe read the scenario, and also if you had any first thoughts costume wise.
Well, basically, like working with Ruben is so much fun, because we did the square together, and one of the first scenes we did in the square was the art performance scene, when the monkeys jumping around. And after that day, we went out for dinner, and then he pitched me Triangle of Sadness. So very early on. And then we spoke, all the time until we basically started filming Triangle of Sadness, which was maybe 2.5 years after the square. So it's not like I read the script and was like, oh my God, wow. I already knew every scene when I read the script. So, and I think that's a really exciting way how he works. Like he creates kind of scenes that he wants to, subjects that he wants to discuss. So he makes these scenes, and he already told me the scenes. So, and then you can tell like how he put together those scenes in a story. So once I read the script, I kind of know every scene already. So I have been so prepared for Triangle of Sadness for such a long time, basically, when I read the script. So, but, and also I felt, very comfortable, because since it's about the fashion world, which is kind of my heritage, it was very, it was more like, when we had, the upstart meetings, like people were laughing at these fashion shows and, men's shows, and they are like, super young, and they walk and they look angry and everything. And everyone was like, thought it was really funny. And for me, it was like, I don't understand what's that funny, like, so for me, I saw, it was interesting to see the other team members taking on fashion, and what they thought was, exotic for them. That for me was just like, well, I don't know. That's kind of just how it is. So that was interesting.
So I guess for you, it wasn't the most challenging part then the first part chronologically then of the movie, because as you say, the movie starts really like in this fashion industry with following a couple, and then we arrive on the luxury cruise, and there we also meet other clients. There's also the staff. So I think what's interesting, of course, also with how the movie evolves, is that you have different countries, generations, and like, let's say, level of wealth and different classes, social classes. So how did you build this ensemble, let's say, of characters?
Well, for example, like all the passengers, since it's a yacht that is a chartered yacht that they travel on, I went through all the a lot of pictures with passengers on yachts that do that kind of trips. So, and to see like how do they dress, like it's, and put together a lot of boards around that. And then the characters that was the actors basically was, I mean, it's satire, and it's so much fun to address these actors. Like Zlatko Buric, for example, who plays the oligarch. I wanted him to be like he's constantly, not full, like full of eating, and like he's so pleased with himself, and he's so confident, and but in a really funny way, and a little bit arrogant or nonchalant with his how he dress and how he talks and everything. And I thought, I kind of tried to put, and I had this pink tennis t-shirt on him because I thought it was like not many men, if you don't have confidence or like that kind of, would be able to wear it with this certainty. But I think that was a lot of fun having that kind of, colors and working with him, for example, on that. No, yeah. So, and also like every character in the script was kind of easy for. I mean, I thought it was a lot of fun to like try to push them as hard as possible towards before it becomes silly, but on the limit there was yeah.
And then so they change a few times on the yacht before they arrive on that deserted island. And what I find interesting costume-wise is that then they're left for the rest of the movie, they're only left with what they were wearing then on the yacht, without knowing they would end up on the deserted island. And I was curious of that, like, how did you choose what would they be left with for the end of the movie? And also, I guess there's a lot of work on like making the clothes dirtier and dirtier as the day go by, and all those details.
Yeah, no, basically, like the clothes, of course, like when they're sitting on this dinner where everyone is vomiting and so on, or you knew like, okay, what they wear now, they're going to be wearing for the rest of the movie, which is, a third of the movie. And I thought, for example, Shelby Dean, she's having this blue dress. If it wouldn't have been like she would be going to a desert island, maybe I would have worn another dress on her. But I thought that dress was really nice, like to rip and tear apart, to work with on the island. And so that was, of course, in your mind when you put together. Zlatko, I think, was amazing with his pink t-shirt, that thing. And then it was Henrik Dorsin, the Swedish actor, which I think is a lot of fun because, he doesn't have any hair. And when you go to a desert island and it's super hot, you need to kind of have this bandana. And when he's killing the donkey and he's wearing like his tank top, which is dirty and with a little bit of blood, and then the bandana, he became like Rambo, which is so not his style at all. I thought that was really fun. And of course, the pirate was super funny too. No, but so I think, like, of course, you thought a lot about how does these colors look and how can we play with these clothes the best way on the beach. And I did a lot of research. It's a BBC documentary, or not documentary, it's a BBC a TV show. In Sweden, it's called Robinson, like, and I think it's called Survivor, maybe. And it's a gang of people going to a desert island, and they're going to try to survive. And the TV team knows that there is food enough for them there, but they sleep. They have to, put together houses themselves. They need to hunt the food. And I watched so many of these challenge shows. And then every day, like, how much does the clothes get distressed? Like, so you did, and it was really interesting to see, like, how slowly it goes, but also like, so I'd studied that really hard. Different stages of torn, or like, And also like, feet, like if you don't have shoes, like then you need to find ways how to. So it was a lot of fun research, actually.
I love hearing the very diverse videos, films, interviews that you watch during the phase where you're creating the costumes. It's very interesting, from Basil art talks in Miami to
exactly.
BBC documentaries.
Yeah, for sure.
With people locked on an island. It's very interesting to hear.
Yeah. But I think maybe that's the funny part of being a costume designer, that you become involved in these worlds, and you kind of become a bit of an expert for a while in a specific topic, and you would never have been an expert on this if it wasn't because you're invited to do these characters in a movie. And I think that's super one of the best things about my job.
And talking about your job more generally, let's say, I was curious if there's any movies or even also TV show costumes that you really like, that inspire you.
Well, but for TV shows, I don't know if anyone have inspired me for my work in that way, but like I think, for example, Succession is an absolutely incredible costume. I think Siobhan, the daughter in the family, there is how the costume designer. I don't know if it's the same costume designer for all the seasons, but you can really tell how this character constantly, gets more and more power, and and I think it's super good. Also, like the first season of White Lotus, I thought was really like a mix of like fun and kind of how I like to work as well. Like you're in the edge, but it's real somehow. Yeah. So that was nice.
And in terms of movies, do you have any favorites? I don't know, movies you like to watch often because you love the costume so much, or?
For example, one movie that I went to London College of Fashion. I did a foundation in art and design, and I was there for maybe 10 months only, but my first project there was inspired by a movie called Le Fil sur le Pont with Vanessa Paradis, which is and I did my whole project around this movie. I only watched it once or twice for a very long time ago, but even on this new project with Lisa Langset that I'm doing, one of the characters I kind of copied one of the dresses that Vanessa Paradis is wearing in that movie, and I have that reference a lot in my head. I don't get a chance to use it a lot, but now today for this movie, I actually looked at that, and I think it's just it's a black and white movie, but I really like that movie, and it's very. I like the costume a lot in that one. But
I really like that movie too. And it's interesting, I think, how our brain saves images. And as you say, maybe they won't be useful for you for years. And then now on this specific project, it comes back to you and you kind of reinvent that dress. I find it very interesting.
Yeah. Also, I love one of my favorite movies ever is Persona with Ingmar Bergman. And I used that. I've been inspired by that movie a lot, both in fashion that I've done, and I think as well in costume design. Like that's two movies that means for costume wise for me, I think. Yeah.
And in your own work, is there any silhouette that you created that you especially like?
I mean, I kind of fall in love with every character, to be honest. So I have difficulties to say one character that I really like the most, and I done, and maybe there is like one outfit in But for example, in general, I thought Sunny Melles, I really liked her when she's vomiting, and she have a sequence dress that we costume designed. We destroyed the whole dress and we redid it because I love the green color. And we actually, yeah, it was so much work on that dress. And I think it was really nice with the vomiting scene. And also when she's vomiting in the bathroom and she's wearing this nude underwear with jewelry. I thought that was really nice, like color wise. But I have a lot of favorites, but I could say her, for example, that I liked. I thought it was fun. If I take that movie, but yeah.
And what do you like most about your job?
Well, I think, like I said earlier, like the research, I think is a lot of fun. I love to sit and become an expert in a topic, and then to create these books that I'm doing, and that when I make these mood boards and scrapbooks, and I draw the characters, and the whole preparation time for me is amazing. It's I love that process. So I would say like research process is my what I like the most. Like I did this TV show about one of an NHL player called Borje Salming, and who became this huge Toronto Maple Leaf star. And I think I know. I know definitely every hockey player from the 1973 to 1986 from the Toronto Maple Leafs, and now he died during when we were filming, and it was really sad. And so I'm quite involved in he died of ALS, and I'm quite involved in the ALS community through him because he started a foundation. And it's interesting because then I meet so many hockey stars and much younger than him, but I have no idea that they are hockey players because I know nothing about hockey after 1986, but everything between 73 to 86. So I think that's quite, it's that's a funny part of the job as a costume designer to be, yeah.
And you were mentioning that you're working with director Lisa Langseth on
Yeah.
a new movie. Is there anything you can share about this at this stage, or?
Well, it's a kind of actually satiric, dark comedy, I would say, about the psychological care in Sweden, maybe from a little bit capitalist point of view. And it's about a group of people that kind of try to feel better by dancing, and they do it in a group together. And I think it's a very nice feeling, and it brings up a really important topic as well about healthcare and so on. So yeah, that's what we're filming now. We do a really small ensemble. It's about, I think in total, 10 actors in the whole movie. So it's a very small ensemble, which is really nice.
Interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah.
And is there any specific kind of project you'd really like to work on? And if so, why? Or maybe people also you'd really like to work with?
Well, I think it would be a lot of fun to work on a period like 1800s or 700s or something like that. That would be amazing. I think that would be so nice to research the dressing of that time. And then directors, there's so many I admire and like. So it's difficult to say any specific names, I think, but But yeah, to do period was would be really fun. I mean, I've done a lot of 70s and 80s and so on, but it's nice to go even further back, like 200 years back. Would be fun, I think.
Thank you, Sofie, for sharing details of your career and creative process, and thank you for listening. You can see the costumes we discuss on Instagram, alongside some mood boards and sketches from Sofie. If you like Profession Costumière, you can give it 5 stars on your listening platform. Stay in touch, new episodes are coming!